We are traveling down the road to the Mandalorian, and what a long and winding road it is. I'm Andrew Fantasia, and I'm joined by James Francesco Oblivio Razile.
Yeah, that's not my last name, but sure, my middle name.
Uh,
But sure, why not? Let's go with it today, I suppose. Yeah, Mandalorian is coming up November 12th is when we get the Mandalorian. Andrew, in the United States, you can already order the movie. Oop, I'm moving on the screen. Hold on. You can already order it. In Canada, we obviously have to wait a little bit. When do you plan on making your purchase of Disney Plus? Are you going to get it the day it comes out, or are you going to wait like a week?
Well, I imagined that I would try to do it the day it comes out, and that the internet would just be not cooperative that day. That was just my mindset. But I would try, because the faster I watch Mandalorian, the faster we can talk about it. So I wouldn't want to wait a week. I already promised subscribers on my channel that I talk about it too. So I think waiting a week would be kind of out of the question at this point. So.
Yeah, you can't wait that week. You got to get the Mando the minute it is available. I can't wait for it. It looks really cool. We're gonna do some coverage on it on our channel as well. And that it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday and Friday the very first week, and then it goes Fridays after that until December 18th, the weekend that the Rise of Skywalker comes out. It actually is released on that Wednesday, and then it is going to be the following Friday, the December 27th, is the season 1 finale of the Mando. So it could be big. We could know who the Mandalorian is by then, but right now we're going to speculate on who we think the Mandalorian could possibly be. Only 2 more of these to go, Andrew Fantasia.
That's it. And now we're going to know all the answers for everything.
We're not going to know anything, but we won't be doing this show anymore. This will end. This fun Tuesday edition of it is going to be done. So Andrew, the first episode 2 weeks ago, you had a very good speculation on who it was. You want to recap that briefly for everybody?
Yeah, I figured, the Mandalorian, if he is in fact a Mandalorian, which I think has been confirmed by Favreau, he would be roughly in his 40s, because I feel like that's where Pedro Pascal is sitting. So if he's in his 40s 5 years after Return of the Jedi, then that would mean he was a teen/preteen, tween, Bieber age in the Clone Wars. So he would have been, like one of those kids in the episode The Academy of Clone Wars, where he's running around and being like, Ahsoka, somebody's poisoned our tea. And they're like, it's the Prime Minister. Spoilers. One of those kids. So that I feel like he would have grown up in the thick of that political upheaval on Mandalore, where bad stuff went down. Death Watch took over. Bad stuff happened to the Duchess. He would have seen all that firsthand and been like, you know what? All these organizations suck. They're all out for themselves. I'm not going to be any part of it. I'm going to fly solo. And then he went and he joined the Empire. And they're like, who are your people? And he's like, I don't have any. And they're like, okay, Mando Soloian. And they you just shook your head. That was all the response you needed to give to that. But yeah, that's what I think.
I like that. Last week I did one where maybe the Mando is related to Cassian Andor, because maybe all these series need to connect on some level, just like the MCU. I highly doubt it, though. But you never know. And any Star Wars character, any relationship to any Star Wars character is up in the air right now. It's up for grabs. He could be anybody. That's what's fun about it. We heard it's going to be a shocking revelation when we find out. And I've kind of maintained not who I think, but how the shock is going to come about. Today, I think what you said 2 weeks ago and what we're going to say today is more in line with what I think is going to fall into place. We're going to learn a lot about Mandalore. We're going to learn about the history of Mandalore. And then the shock of who the Mandalorian is going to come from that knowledge that we have gained through the show. And so, Andrew, why don't you let everybody know who we are going to speculate on today?
Well, first of all, do you think we're going to see Mandalore the Planet on this show in season 1 at least?
I'm going to say no to season 1.
Yeah. I also feel the same way. I feel like
flashbacks
we might see flashbacks. I feel like judging from the way TV series have worked in the past, I feel like season 1 is gonna be like, ooh, look how mysterious this guy is. We're gonna find out snippets of his life, and then season 2, he's gonna go to Mandalore, and we're gonna like see him confront those snippets of his past. That's just what I'm thinking. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna see it in season 1.
I agree.
But we met a lot of cool Mandalorian characters over the years. One of who got a big round of applause when she showed up at Star Wars Celebration Orlando at that Rebels panel was Bo-Katan.
Ooh.
The Duchess's sister, Bo-Katan Kryze. Actually, I have to make an amendment here. I have to correct myself. I don't know if it's been released yet. No, it hasn't. But there's an upcoming episode of Good Will Hunting that I did about Mandalore, and in the recording of it, I realized too late, but I pronounced Satine's last name wrong. I said Kryze when it's actually pronounced Kryze because I hadn't heard it out loud in a long time. So that's it. I am fired. James told me the other day, he's like, "You're on thin ice, Fantasia," and this is the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, so Good Will Hunting is a monthly Patreon exclusive show from I think the Imperial tier and up, maybe the partisan. I don't know. You can see it on Patreon. And November 12th at midnight, Good Will Hunting Mandalore, narrated by the ever-hated Andrew Fantasia, will be going up for everybody to watch. So you could watch The Mandalorian season 1 or episode 1, then watch Andrew's Mandalore, or you can watch The Mandalore and then episode 1 of The Mandalorian. Whatever you guys want to do, it's right there for Patreon exclusive. So you get that every month. Then December, you've got a really cool one cooking up as well. But the first one that we're going to drop here is on Mandalore, fitting enough. So anyway, for backstory, do you think there's a possibility? Like, would you say there's a possibility in this happening? Of the Mandalorian backstory being associated, related to Bo-Katan?
I think that it's more possible than I would have thought it was just a few days ago, because I've been, flipping back through Clone Wars and getting refreshed because I want to be up to speed. I haven't watched Clone Wars in a long time, and I know we got the last season coming out, so I kind of want to be up to speed with that.
And also, Patreon exclusive starting November 27th, Cloning Around is coming. Patreon exclusive.
It's finally happening.
Finally.
We promise it's finally
November 27th.
But I've been rewatching, and when I got to that episode with the one called The Academy with those Mandalorian kids, something else came to mind here. So Satine is sisters with Bo-Katan. Yes, that's been established. I don't think, as far as we know, I don't think Bo-Katan has any children. Does she?
I don't know. It's not. It would be mentioned in Rebels, and I don't believe it is.
Right. Yeah. She's just kind of a lone wolf. She just does her own thing. I think she's fairly younger than Satine as well. So I think she's still sort of like finding her way. She's still a youth, what have you. At least in the Clone Wars. But in that episode of Clone Wars, one of those kids, his name is Korkie Kryze, and he is Satine's nephew.
So at one point, I actually thought about Korkie, but Korkie dies.
I don't remember Korkie's death. I'll take your word for it. I know he died. I don't think he's the Mandalorian because those kids look way too Aryan to be played by a Latino guy. They're very like white with blonde hair. But Satine's got a nephew. I highly doubt that it's Bo-Katan's kid, which means there's at least one other sibling floating around out there somewhere that we haven't met yet. Who is Korkie's mother or father? And is that our through line? Is that going to connect us to the Mandalorian in some way? Because that kid's got parents, just like Rey. We just don't know who they are. And hashtag who's Korkie's mama?
And they're high ranking as well. In Mandalorian history and lore. I would never betray you, Anti-Satine. I'm here to rescue you. I'm trying to find out. I'm pretty sure he dies.
And if you're on the Wikipedia page, I remember checking it out the other day. I don't think it says anything about who Korkie's parents are either. So that's still up in the air.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. I'm going to put it on his death. His death was...
so it legitimately, he's dead, for real.
Yeah. Serac in lead of Luke. This was sadly the death of Korkie. He was killed by the Seracian warriors.
Where is this?
Galaxy Wars Wiki? Fandom. Korkie Kryze. Korkie. He died at age
Korkie
20.
Kryze.
No, I'm going Kryze.
Don't make the same mistake I did.
Korkie Kryze. He died at age 20. So he is gone. But you know what?
Man.
I mean, maybe he faked his death. You don't know. But like you said, there's somebody else floating around there. And we know that Favreau plays a part in the Clone Wars with Filoni. He knows, he understands Mandalore. And if it's going to be a shock, and if we're going to learn about Mandalore in the show, then I would guess that you're going to learn about this family. And then all of a sudden, this big bad bounty hunter is a member of, comes from this family. And it might not be the biggest shock to us, but the characters in the show, you're like, wait a minute. And you have to take a step back and be like, this is the guy that, no, you have to take your place in Mandalore or something like that. And that could be a through line, a plot line for season 2, 3, 4, whatever in the Mandalorian show.
Yeah. And I guarantee you, Filoni and Favreau have like a flow chart somewhere of just like a Mandalorian family tree, because I feel like those two just geek out about Mandalore all the time when they get together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they just get their little toys and they're like, hey, I'm Boba Fett today. And they write it all on a whiteboard, and Filoni's like, okay, let's try to write an episode out of what we just did. So that's that. I feel like that's coming down the pipeline whether we want it or not. And I feel like they are 100% aware of Satine's family and Sabine, because she's Mandalorian too. But I feel like they're 100% aware of her family. Yeah.
Well, they would. I mean, Filoni pretty much created the family.
Yeah.
So I think, is this a possibility? Let us know in the comments below. Do you think there's a possibility that the Mandalorian is related to Bo-Katan or Satine or any of those characters? Could the Mandalorian be from there? We're going to learn about. If we learn about that in this show, then all bets are off. Then you go, okay, I think we're going down that path. That's where I think we're going. Could be wrong. I don't know.
Here's a question for you, James, and this is going to open up a whole other can of. Who is it? Gina Carano, who said the reveal of his backstory is a shocking one. Is that what she said?
I believe it was Gina Carano. Yes.
Yeah, she used the word shocking.
Yes.
Okay. Totally out on a limb here, but let's say Filoni and Favreau have been listening to the wild theories going on in the Rey and Kylo trilogy and all that stuff, and they talked to JJ and everybody who's writing it and found out what the real solution is to all those questions, and then maybe they thought, we can take a page out of this book. What if this guy, the Mandalorian, is the grandson of Satine and Obi-Wan?
Yes.
What if those two had a kid? That kid met somebody who was, Hispanic looking, because neither Ewan McGregor or Satine look like they could have, descendants who are Latino, but maybe, their kid met somebody who was, and then that gives us the perfect opportunity to have Pedro Pascal play their grandkid. Even though he might be too old, I don't know, but maybe. What do you think?
It's possible.
That would be shocking. That would shock people, and not just people who saw the Clone Wars. Because I feel like if the answer is only shocking to Clone Wars fans, it's not as shocking as it could be.
And then what? Then the Obi-Wan film or TV show could totally take a different direction. And maybe it's not Tatooine Obi-Wan, or you find out more about Obi-Wan. Maybe that's when he discovers he has a child or something like that. Maybe this would have been a great different episode, Andrew. But we'll pack it into this one. I don't think that's going to be the case though, because I think that's almost putting too much on Obi-Wan Kenobi in this series, and I think they want to stay a little bit away from that. As cool as it is, but then you have questions like, okay, if she was pregnant, how did he not know? What did she do with the kid while we were watching the Clone Wars? What's going on there? I just don't think. I mean, she dies. I don't think I don't think it plays out time wise. I mean, but you could, do it if you wanted. You could be like, wow, just so you know, yeah, the timeline has been changed now. We changed it. And you could. I mean, the writer could just go and be like, "We're changing the timeline. Basically, this is how it all happens." The next season of the Clone Wars actually just takes place in that area, so we could flesh it out a lot more, and we watch her pregnancy from start to finish. I think I am with you. It's a very cool twist. really cool. I think a lot of people, especially older fans, would totally dig Obi-Wan being involved in this. And Jon Favreau said, D23, it's in the Good Will Hunting. There's a lot in there. If you've been a fan for 40 years, there's a lot in there for you.
Yes.
What, aside from Easter eggs, what could he mean? I don't know. I haven't spoken to him. He won't return my calls.
He'll return mine.
Damn it. But you won't return his.
No.
You call him, he calls you back, you're like, he doesn't answer for me, I'm not answering for him. You toss it. All right, guys, this is this week's episode of Who is the Mandalorian? Who do you guys think the Mandalorian is? Let us know in the comments down below. Please don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. We'll see you next week for another Who is the Mandalorian? I'm James. That's
Andrew, I think.
That's maybe Andrew. And as always, may the force of others be with you.
Always.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.